If you haven't heard of Sendy Audio, here's the quick rundown. Sendy is a close relative to Sivka, but while Sivka is more concerned with creating very affordable headphones that usually go for under $500, Sendy is a step up in both price and quality, with their most affordable model, the Apollo, the unit I'm going over today, going for just about $500. Sendy finds its signature in its open-back designs with steel mesh grills and planar drivers contained in wooden headphone housing. The Sendy Apollo follows suit, and the material you see here is a rosewood with a high-gloss finish. As for the driver design, the Apollo is a planar headphone. Its driver is composed of two magnets with two coils on either side of the diaphragm. Sendy says that this results in a more consistent magnetic field with more accurate vibrations and frequency representation. The diaphragm's base material is made of thin, rigid, and highly damping materials. According to Sendy, this makes bass frequencies sound more solid, vocals soft and warm, and extends the range of the Apollo's treble up to 40 kHz. Now, before we get into it, let's take a quick peek inside the box. You get your Sendy Apollo open-back headphones, a hard case, a cable with a 4.4mm balance jack, a 4.4 to 3.5mm adapter, and a soft cable pouch. As far as fit and feel is concerned, the Sendy Apollo isn't particularly light nor heavy, and the weight left a pretty neutral impression on me. The manual adjustment suspension headband gave me some hesitancy at first, but it was pretty well done. The headband sliders feature a pretty high level of resistance, and once I had them in the right place for my head, they stayed put and out of mind. Though the synthetic leather used in the ear pads can conduct a bit of heat, I never really had issues with outright sweating in them, and ultimately I liked the pads. They have a pretty squishy consistency that pressed comfortably and securely against my head. Overall, no complaints in the comfort department. In fact, I would qualify the Apollo as being a moderately comfortable headphone. Now, a feature that I like about the Apollo is that what it looks like is kind of what it sounds like. It has a warm, smooth, somewhat dark, and even woody timbre. You're not going to get a balanced sound with it, but that's by design and not really what Sendy seems to be going for here. Starting with the low-end balance, you get heavily rolled-off subs that give room for the mid-bass and high bass to do most of the talking. Though I felt a bit teased by this low-end response, I have to say it pairs well with what seems to be a pretty speedy driver. I found the low end to be fairly fast and never dragging behind and losing its definition. It doesn't rumble, doesn't quite slam, but it does something akin to a slam. It knocks. Now, to expand on what I mean by knocking, we should probably talk about the mids balance. It's not often that I say this, but the Apollo's center mids are a very prominent component of its sound. This plays a role in the sort of knocking quality that I just mentioned, and seems to pair particularly well with drums, electric and acoustic, but particularly acoustic. It emphasizes the frequencies you might associate with the body of a drum. Snares and toms find an emphasis in the thump of their transients rather than in their decays. I would generalize and say that music with dense mid-range reverbs, like shoegaze as just one example, aren't the ideal choice for the Apollo. But modern or just generally beat-oriented genres paired very well with this signature. Frequently, when people say that about a headphone, that it's good for, a modern genre, they're talking about a throbbing sub or mid-bass, but I mean it for very different reasons when I'm talking about the Apollo. It applies this sort of dry warmth to these genres that sounds as appropriate for them as it does unique. As for treble balance, there's a fairly heavy-handed scoop in the low treble. While you don't see this in every balance you come across, it's not particularly uncommon either. This is a range that humans are physiologically programmed to hear as painful, and while scooping these frequencies might detract from realism, it undeniably adds an element of pleasure, or pleasantness, easy listening, if you will. I found the Apollo to bring its mid and high mid treble back up to somewhat attenuated but more moderate levels, which allowed bright details in tracks such as cymbals, vocal air, reverb decays, to somewhat ethereally float around the Apollo's otherwise warm and firm signature. Overall, Sendy's Apollo is a pretty complete package. Bit of a rustic look with a warm, woody timbre that's as comfortable to wear as it is to listen with. I'm including a link to purchase the Sendy Apollo from Audio 46 down below, which you should use if you want to help support the channel. And this was a fairly quick video, but for more like it, as well as some more long-form reviews, remember to like and subscribe down below. Anyway, this is Chris with Major Hi-Fi. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon.